Thank you for joining us again on today's podcast of Promote Your Book podcast with author G.C. Brown talking about his book Sniff. We've already done one podcast with author G.C. Brown about the book Sniff. You can find it on his YouTube. You can find it on my YouTube. You can find it on several places, his website, my website. And I wanted to start doing some podcasts with him and asking him some very specific questions, like who is the main character, the protagonist of Sniff? Where did he come from? I know there was an inspiration behind David, and I just want to pick your brain a few minutes about him. Where did he come from? Where is he going? What's he doing? I mean, oh my God, this character is just action packed, and getting into your brain about that character is kind of like getting into his brain. So tell us about David. Tell us a little bit about Sniff, and then tell us about David.
Sure. Okay. Sniff. I was in the middle of writing the detective series, which you see behind me, the Mason Storm series.
Taken by storm.
Completed a book and a half, almost two books. COVID hits. The prison where I was, well, all prisons, the world, shut down.
Yeah.
We went on total lockdown. I said, they locked us down so fast. The tier I was in, I didn't have time to get all of my Mason Storm stuff out of my locker. It was officers coming in, screaming and yelling, everybody out, 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 out. They put us to quarantine. So we went to a building, and at that time it was very early on. No one knew how long we were going to be stuck, how long we were going to be there. We knew it was going to be a while, months. It ended up being several months, 4 months long, locked in a 6 by 9 concrete cell, steel door, sliver of a window. Uh,
Wow.
we were stuck. We had nowhere to go. I decided to write a different book. Now, prior to that, before COVID hit, I received a new cellie, David. Dave, so this guy shows up. He's everything I say he is. He's this suave, half Puerto Rican, half Belgium, just a nice guy. He looks like he walked off a magazine. He had the light, this, that. So he started telling me all these funny stories of his life and all this crazy stuff that he's done. Now, I was in the African diamond trade. I've been in the nightclub business. I've owned flower companies in Ecuador, and built software companies, and I've been around the block. So his stories and my story are, you don't run into those stories very often. In fact, both of us went to prison for our stories. Long story short. Uh,
That's one way to put it.
that's how different they are than most people. So let me get back to Dave. So he's telling me about the banking in the Middle East, and he's in Dubai, and just doing crazy things. There's hookers involved, drugs involved. There's all the wrong things, all the right things. He's making big money. He's losing bigger money. Makes all the money back again. Just a moving and shaking. Runs into the girl of his dreams. Married, got kids, or got the kid. Family's great. Daughter comes home from school one day, ends up with a terminal disease out of nowhere.
Oh no.
So yeah, but David is a funny, hilarious, actually, well spoken, got the accent. He's that guy that you would see in the movies. So I said to him, "You and I should write a book." I had already written the Mesa Storms. I'd already won awards. I already decided this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Let's write a book. So we agreed on it. I told him if I can just get your character and my character merged with some of the crazy stuff we've done in life, and of course add some glitz, some glamour, some crazy stuff, make it even crazier than what our lives were. I said we gotta hit. Fast forward, uh, I get to writing. Dave never picks up a pen. I said, Dave, hey, at least edit this, look through these chapters, cut, paste, scratch out, add to. Never. He didn't do any of it. Not anything. So not a writer. Not everybody's a writer. I found that. He had the funny stories and he guided me through, and I changed everything around. And one thing about being a federal inmate, you cannot actually write about your crimes. So while mine were taxes, loosely based around the diamonds and some real estate and a whole bunch of made up stuff from the government, his was a little bit more serious. I'll fast forward and I'll come back and tell you about him. So I'll tell you more about SNIFF. She comes home. His daughter comes home, terminal. The markets are crashing. His world's falling apart, crumbling down around him. He decides that time to rob banks. He ends up being at the top of the bank, and now this guy is the least assuming, doesn't have a bad bone in his body. Wouldn't tell the dogs to shut up if they were barking and throwing a fit in the backyard. Just one of those guys. Just
oh my goodness.
super kind, super just a nice guy. Almost too nice. He dibbled and dabbled in drugs, and like most of those guys in that fast-paced industry, he was end up playing more than he was working. So when his world crashed down around him, then he experimented with some of the harder stuff. He ended up with a heroin addiction. He ended up with he couldn't get himself out of the trick bag he put himself in. And he had himself convinced, although he's never committed a crime and never done any of those, he convinced himself the only way out of this and the only way to get money to save his daughter's life is to rob banks. He wasn't robbing the banks to support a habit. He wasn't robbing the banks to go to strip clubs or hookers or drugs, or he was robbing banks to pay for medical care.
Wow.
Sad story. Got hooked on heroin, robbed banks, ended up in federal prison. Fast forward, runs into me, guy in the African diamond trade, dealer, mover, shifter, been everywhere, done all of it, same kind of life. I mixed those two stories together, of course, all fictional. Added, like I said, glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
We're headed to Hollywood. It turned out a great book. Dave is a great character. I wish that we could have been partners on the book. I left and went to another prison. He stayed where he was, where I met him. Of no choice of ours. He didn't write. We didn't go forward on it. I continued to write. Told him he's read it. He loves it. Can't wait to see it. He's out, and he's got several more years to do. Just to give you another idea quickly of who Dave is. The judges on a situation like that, where you rob 5 banks, there's a gun involved. There's never any breaks. Never. You get the max. Every person I've ever met, you have 2 choices. You can tell on somebody, which he did not. There was no one to tell on him. He was a single man conspiracy. Or single man bank robber, or you can be. He went postal. He went the truest term of just one day, just snapped.
Wow.
Never would have done it had it dawned on him. He just snapped. The judge gave him a downward departure. Instead of getting 25, 30 years, he got 12. So he'll do 10, 9.5. He's probably got 3 or 4 left to go. And hopefully everybody will get a chance to meet him. I wish that he would have taken the opportunity to write. It just wasn't his thing.
Yeah, I get it. It's not
But
for everybody.
it's not for everybody. It's a tedious. It's a hard. It's a people think you just and I'm guilty of it. I read way back when, sitting in those cells before I started writing the Mason Storm, front page of the USA Today, top 10 hardest things to do. Number 3 was complete a novel. I wrote it purely out of ego, just because they told me I couldn't do it. But make no mistake about it, I've done some hard things in my life. I ran in the African diamond trade out of Sierra Leone, Africa, 2 years after the country had come out of civil war. People running around missing arms and hands and fingers and trying to kill you every step of the way. So I've done hard things. Nothing compares to writing a novel. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing I've done anyway. It's and people say, and it has gotten easier. The more I've written, you learn your characters. You learn. I was blessed to have a great, unbelievable Lisa Sarasoli of 529 Books, unbelievable editor. She took my first book, the first book, Mason Storm, basically called it trash. Said I should find something else to do.
Oh my goodness.
She'll deny that. She'll say she didn't say that, and she didn't say that. But it was not good. My writing today is amazing because of Lisa. She just and I put in a lot of hard work in it. But she doesn't take no for an answer. She doesn't let me bully her. She doesn't. If she wants something changed, I can scream, throw a fit, lay on the ground, kick my feet till I'm blue in the face. It's getting changed. It's getting changed. And she's made my writing what it is today. Super, super glad to have her. No writer, as a side note, no writer should attempt this feat without having a editor that does not agree with anything you say.
One that's going to get in your face.
Yeah, I mean, what's the sense of having an editor? If Lisa was to agree with everything I said, what's the sense of paying her? She already agrees with everything.
Right.
What's the sense of if 2 partners agree on the same thing, you don't need one of the partners. So I'm happy to have had her. I still have her. She's still my editor, and if I have my way, when I'm still writing at 80 years old, she'll still be fighting me.
I bet she would too.
Yeah.
She is amazing. I have met her on the phone, and she is amazing. She has so many awards. We're going to have to share this with her so she can hear us brag about her.
Yeah, I think she'd probably kill me if she found out I was right. She actually got me to my publisher and got me to where I am right now, which ultimately got me to you, got me to the public, and she wants no credit. She's just, she's happy to be an editor. She's happy to read. She's happy to kick your teeth in for you. She's happy to slit your throat and punch you in the face and smile at the end. That's really all she wants to do.
But she has done a fantastic
With a smile.
job on SNIFF, that is for sure.
Yeah.
So, your protagonist, David,
Yes.
from your relationship with David,
Yes.
who was your cellmate. Isn't
Yes.
that interesting? It doesn't really matter where the inspiration comes from as long as it comes.
And in federal prison, it comes by every 15 seconds. The characters you run into in federal prison it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I've been around bank robbers, and gangsters, and killers, and cocaine traffickers, and drug lords, and heisters, and financial gurus, billionaires. We all shared the same uniforms. We all ate from the same commissary. We were all limited to the same things.
Yeah.
Black, white, Spanish, Asian, We all did time together. We did it in small, cramped in places, sometimes with nothing. We got along. We had fun. We laughed. We played. The stuff that's going on in the world today, it's just I see it with my own eyes. People can get along from all walks of life. Some of my best friends are non-white. We all got along. I mean, not everybody. We put 2,000 men in the same place. You're bound to have some issues here and there. But for the
Yeah.
most part, we worked it out. And some of us that ran for a long time, we get together. We make sure the young guys got in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a. I'm not going to say prison was fun. I don't recommend anybody does it, but we made the best of it. I met a lot of characters. A lot of those guys are in the books. They're underneath different names, obviously. And, which you'll meet Paper, you'll meet Link, you'll meet Yuri, you'll meet Dave, you'll meet all these people in the books underneath different names. That they were all part of the book. The book's amazing. I'm not just saying that.
No,
It's a
the
great
book is
read.
amazing.
Yeah.
I've told you, and I'll tell everybody else again. I absolutely loved the book. My friend Liz and I, we don't read that genre. We don't read crime fiction. We don't read, anything that's like as unconventional or gritty or raw as Sniff is. And you have the first four chapters and the prologue of Sniff up available on your website, gcbrownbooks.com. And I went to the website and I started reading the prologue, and I couldn't quit reading. I had to read the first chapter and then I had to read the second chapter. Well, then I had to wait because there was a snafu on the website, and so I didn't get the other, and I had to wait for it. And I was not happy about that. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to read Sniff. So finally, I got the whole part one of the Sniff book. That you had it in two different parts in editing process, and I was chomping at the bits to read the rest of it. It's like, oh no, he left me hanging again. I loved the character David because he's just so smart. He's
He's
smart.
slick.
He is kind,
Yeah.
and we've got some AI renditions of what David would look like, and we put them up on your social media for people
And they're
to
spot
see
on.
and
Spot
introduce him to people. And we're going to do that with the rest of the characters too,
Yes.
or at least the majority of them.
Yes.
So, is there anything else you want them to know about David? About
Well,
David in the book? He
no, I think it's just reading them in the first couple of chapters. You're gonna love them. People used to, while in prison, I'd write the chapters, and hey, what do you think about this? And I'd send them around, and of course I typed them out so they were neat. Uh, I'd get them back, and guys would bring them back to myself. Hey, where's the next chapter? They'd want to read the handwritten. They wouldn't even want to wait until it was typed out.
I would
So
have written hand. I would definitely would have read the handwritten just to be able to get to read more of it. It's a
I've been
fantastic book.
begged and begging for anything in federal prison from one man to another. You just don't have it. Unfortunately, the way the world's set up, people don't want to see the next guy make it. Especially in federal prison, everybody's kind of got it's the big boys, or a lot of people are the big boys. So they don't. I'm not gonna say they hate on you. They don't really hate on you. That's the wrong word. But not everybody wants to see you make it.
Yeah.
This book around the prison system, everywhere I was, it would take me during COVID. I never got my hands back on it. It got passed from the garbage guys came to the unit to take the garbage out of my unit. It was total lockdown. All units locked down. No mixing of any sort. Somebody from another unit asked to read Sniff that I knew from the rec yard. I sent it to his unit through the garbage guys, which were other inmate workers. That was beginning of COVID. When we come off that lockdown 11 months later, I finally got Sniff back, and it was from somebody that wasn't even at the prison when I sent that first copy out. A guy walks up to me in the yard and they said, "Give this back to you." He said, "I was told to give this back to you." It was a guy, a black guy from the islands, and he read it. He was actually one of them. Hey, is there any way I can read the notes or the part two? I said it's in notes. I haven't typed it. It's still in raw form. I don't care. I don't care. I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened. So it's a hit. We're going to do well with it. I'm not just saying that. I'm not saying it to brag. I'm not saying any of that. This is a passion. I fell in love with it.
Yes.
Like everything else I've done in my life, I'm going to put blood, sweat, and tears. I'm going to make this for my fans, for my readers. I'm going to make it something to talk about.
Well, I, for one, am a diehard fan from now on. I can't wait to start on book 2. You left us hanging again, which, your first chapter gets them into the book, and then your last chapter wants to make them read the second one. Well, I'm there. I want to read that second book.
Yeah, we're currently working on getting it out.
There's a series, we haven't talked about that, but there's Sniff, Smoke, and
Shoot.
And that's in the Sniff series, the
Right.
Sniff, Smoke, and Shoot series. But then your other series, taken by storm, the Mason Storm series, has how many books in it?
That one's got. I wanted to close off the character after 4. I don't know that the publisher's going to allow that now. They're talking about 5, 6, 7. I'm a guy that I only like. I read everything. I've read everything. I like the series because you get the character, you stay with the character, you grow with the character, you learn the character, you become the character. But I don't like the characters that stretch out 12, 13, 14, 15 books. I can't read them that far in. It's too much. So I was always the guy that said, I'm going to write the series, but I'm going to kill them off, or I'm just going to let them go, or whatever I decide to do with them 4 or 5 books in. So 4 books in on Mason Storm, I ended the story. And the publisher doesn't like the ending. Thinks that we should get 5, 6, and 7. Hollywood loves it. They're talking about some crazy stuff. So we'll see. I'm not opposed to a few more, but right now it's 4 or 5. It may stretch to 6 or 7, but it's again a cool character. Just a setup he's set in Miami, South Florida. He's a homicide detective that was once a champion UFC fighter, got hurt, money dried up, wanted to do something different, went to be a homicide detective, got a past that he's trying to run from. Meanwhile, he's chasing some murderers. He's living the South Florida life. He's got a little bit of money. He's suave. He's the Diamond Johnson, linen pants. I'm not wearing a tie. The gun's not in the holster. It's in the back of his pants. It's a cool character. Doesn't take no lip. Gives plenty of it.
So which book is actually you've got Sniff going to be dropping November the 1st,
November 1.
and then
Mason Storm is March 1.
Is going to be March 1. So I have to wait for a long time to get Smoke.
Oh, you're talking about Smoke. So Smoke will be probably July. Probably be a little less than a year from release 1. Probably be July of 25.
Okay, as long as it's coming, because
it's coming. I don't have any choice.
Yeah, they are good, and I look forward to seeing you on the New York Times best-selling list.
If we don't hit that number 1 spot, there's something wrong.
Something wrong.
Something wrong. We didn't work hard enough.
Well,
we're coming.
Thank you for joining us and telling us about your protagonist, David, and where his idea came from and what inspired you to write that character. He is something else. I
Yeah.
encourage you to get the book, and I encourage you to go read the first 4 chapters on gcbrownbooks.com. And hey, leave us a review. Check out the reviews. I mean, he's already got some amazing views. My friend Liz just left one the other day, and she said he has an ability to make you see things that he writes. He paints pictures with his words, and not everybody has that ability. You know, they can try to paint a scene for you, but she said you literally make it come alive for us. And I can attest to that fact because the scene at the party, the safari party, it's like I'm not going to get into it,
Yeah,
but
I'll wait till
let
they
me
read
just tell
that.
you, there are things in this book that will shock you and amaze you and thrill you and make you say, "Oh no," and make you cry too.
Yeah.
That that's the part. So it runs the gamut. Well, thank you, GC Brown, for joining us in this
Thank you.
discussion
Thank you for
today.
having me.
See you soon.
Have a good one.